aloha in our day. Spread a little aloha around the world. At breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, our Nice World Championship edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas. SFuels go longer. HOKA Fly Human Fly, Deboer Wetsuits, Quintana, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We just got back from the Paralympics. We had 127 of our grantees participating in Paris. It was wonderful. Our next guest is only the greatest female triathlete in history. Five-time Ironman World Champion, five-time 70.3 World Champion, two-time Olympian, three-time Challenge Roth Champion. The great Daniela Ryf joins us. Daniela, it is always such a treat. You know, we've been chatting since 2014, so this is like our 10-year anniversary of chatting together. How are you doing?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Bob. I'm doing good. Looking forward to see you. I don't know. No, you're not going to be in Nice, right?
No, we have a big CAF gala next Wednesday in New York City. That now that you're retired, one of these days you have to come to one of our galas. You'd love it.
To. It's definitely the calendar definitely filled up fast, so it's been quite busy. But yeah, would love to. I'll be in New York sometimes this year. So
oh, good.
We'll keep in touch.
So when did you realize it was time? Because I know you were planning. You've obviously won the 70.3 World Championship at Nice. You love that course. You train in the mountains all the time. When did you feel like, you know what, it's not going to work. It's time.
Yeah, it was quite a long process. I mean, I've been injured since February and then kind of got two races, pushed them through. The last one in April in South Africa, where it really, really hurt me. Definitely where I realized, okay, now I have to take a break and kind of rebuild again. And I went to St. Moritz in summer, back with the squad. And then it was just, I mean, first I think we had like a few weeks, maybe after 4 weeks up there, had a talk with Brett, and he was like, well, look, I mean, we might have to consider switching our goals from Nice to the later races in the season. And that was, definitely a hard thing to think about, because Nice, of course, was one of the big goals next to the T100 races. So I had to drop out of San Francisco, which was, it was really a big bummer. And then also London, which I was really looking forward to race. And I think we had, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was like sometimes in July where we reset and we said, okay, we probably, Nice is probably not going to be realistic, because I could really barely run more than 30 minutes. And also my, the coccyx still hurt a lot on the bike, even just pushing 200 watts was not good so I had to just really go very easy. Yeah. And I mean, you can't, I know what it takes to win an Ironman race, especially the World Championship. And it's just not realistic if you can't do the work. And I think it's also respecting the body, that if you can't put in the work, it doesn't make any sense to try to race. And we shifted the goals. We tried to get ready for the late races. But then we also saw eventually that it's not going to happen. It was just really, really slow recovery. And I think eventually when we sat down all together with the doctor and my coach, we realized, okay, no, what my body needs is 3 months rest. And that's where the last races of this year. So it was just not meant to happen. And of course, I think for me, the hardest part was to accept it. It definitely felt like giving up, because I'm someone who never really gives up on a goal. And I always managed to get to what I set myself as a goal. And that was really, really hard. I think there was definitely a few tears and just a lot of depressing moments. And it was until I accepted it where I could really let it go. And I said, look, I mean, I had to be also grateful. I could do so much with my body, and I think I've been quite lucky. So it was just that phase, accepting that it's not going to happen, which really hurt. But then I could definitely see also the whole perspective. And I think also for my body, it's better to not not push it until it's totally broken, but also it would have just not even been possible. Like I'm running now like sometimes 20 minutes and it's still hurting. So I'm just, I have to take time till it's really really good again. And I definitely want to keep being active. And so I think it's I want to be able to run again. I look forward to that. It's haven't run more than an hour for a long time, so I look forward to be out there and showing like being pain free is something that I had to, how do you say, I miss that to be able to just go out and be
Yes.
pain free.
Yeah. So obviously it's so early because you just retired. Do you know what you want to do next? Obviously, you want to stay in the sport in terms of being the role model that you are and speaking to groups, and you're so philanthropic with kids and programs in Africa. Will you dive more into that part of your life?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot I want to do. We're already quite full in the preparation also for next year, and there will be some projects which are quite clear already. Something for my foundation I'm going to do in March, which we will announce soon, and we'll keep raising money for that project, for these projects. But then also, there's a lot of discussions at the moment, of course, with also the partners, but
Sure.
I want to be, staying active, give something back to the sport, which is definitely for me, like I enjoy training. I still enjoy it now, going for even if it's just now not on with pressure, but I love to just go out there. I think what it does, like coming back when you had like even just half an hour, it helps your body to feel good. And I definitely would love to promote that, like an active lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm working with Mover, which is actually rewarding people to be active with points where you can then buy products. So
Yes.
that's a really cool company. They're based in Zurich, which I definitely will work closer with them. And there's some announcements coming soon. One project which I'm really excited also, where we can give back and help people to reach their goals. So it's a lot is happening at the moment. I haven't had a quiet second, to be honest. Like I kind of said, because I will also be in Nice, so we'll do some cool things there as well with my partners. And and so I think until the end of September, I'll be still quite busy. And then I told myself, okay, then I'm going to have a bit of a break and also go on holidays.
So when I look at your career, obviously I look at just from 2014 to 2023, you raced 55 times and won 45 of the races, which is unbelievable. But the races just in the last few years, watching you at Challenge Roth, and taking 10 minutes off of Chrissy Wellington's existing course record. She happens to be there there's certain things that sometimes seem meant to be, and here you are having really one of the races of your life. It was a phenomenal day. You win by a bunch. Annie Hogg at one point was like, quit giving me splits to Daniela, give me splits to somebody else because she's too far ahead, she's gone. Having a day like that sort of later in your career, how special is that?
Yeah, I think it's very special, especially because I have been struggling a little bit with injuries and with my body, I would say, in the last 3 years. And having, I think first that St. George win was
Yep.
super special. And then, like having that fantastic race in Roth, something I didn't expect, to be honest. I wasn't feeling amazing in the month before, but I had trained really, really hard through winter. And I think it's really also the accumulation of all the work we've done with the partners. I don't think I was like in a better shape than I was maybe 5 years ago, but
Mhm.
I definitely improved a lot with Swiss Side and DT Swiss in the wind tunnel. There's the new shoes, the Rocket
From
X2,
HOKA.
which were just
Yeah.
another level. And I think having that influencing with just having a perfect day really made this possible. And we've seen, Anne didn't wait long till to break it. So she definitely went for it this year, which hurt a little bit, but also is great to see, of course, that the women just really crushing it. And I definitely think there'll be a woman soon, and I have someone in my head who probably do it, can go under 8 hours. So I think it's really amazing to see. Like, we would not have thought that 10 years ago. Like, I was second in Kona with over 9 hours, and now the women are they're getting very close to the 8 hours now. So it's great to see.
Yeah, I love seeing that as well. Yeah, that was actually the challenge Roth, and then in 2022 with Ironman World Championship St. George. And at that point, a lot of people were counting you out, saying your career was pretty much done. And then you go to Sedona, which is very similar to St. George in terms of terrain, and just put in a great training block. And you could see the emotion in your face when you win that race. You win your fifth Ironman World Championship. You put the 5 fingers out at the finish. And part of that was the fact that people were doubting and wondering if you were done. Did you feel that? Did you feel that from the outside, from the inside, that people were questioning your ability?
Yeah, definitely I felt that, but also there were, of course, also times where I doubted myself, like having such a bad race in Oceanside only 6 weeks before. I knew I had a bad day, but I really, after that race, I went to Sedona. I was like, okay, now I'm going to really put, the hammer down and really try to maximize this 5-week block with training. And I think it's not like in the beginning of my career, I was very consistent, and then towards the end, I think it's just also because the others they became better, so it was all getting more close, and I was not able to have a bad day anymore and win. And I think that made it from outside maybe look like, oh, she's not as good, but I think the others also just really improved. And I think in the end, I always was a racer when it mattered. I was able to get that extra gear, and that's, I think, crossing that finish line in St. George, having definitely felt the doubters was it was nice. Like, I think it was also a long phase because we had Corona, and then I was sick once in Hawaii, and so it was like a 2.5-year phase where I felt like I couldn't really show what I'm capable of. And so that felt really, just really good to be able to put it together again. I think that was the best feeling. And then also proving the others wrong can be nice too. I think it should never be the main motivation, but I think I always manage to trying to put it into motivation and say, well, they can talk, but I'm going to show them wrong. And I think that's I always liked to talk with action and not with loud words. And so for me, that was kind of, that race was a little bit what I did there.
What I've really enjoyed in this last number of years is just the camaraderie, but also the fierce competitiveness with you and Lucy and Kat and Annie. There's just a mutual respect there. And I remember talking to Lucy and she seeing you coming the other way when she was winning in Kona last year. You couldn't, obviously you want to win yourself, but when you can't on that day, you're still having the best day that you can have. You want to celebrate somebody who had come so close, had finished second to you so many times, was finally getting that huge win.
Yeah, I mean, everyone who's manages to win a world championship title in the Ironman distance, it's that this person had to work really hard. It's not luck, and it's never talent, just talent. It's really only hard work and consistent work. And to be able to see other people doing it, of course, you would also want to have your best day, but in the end, I think that's what triathlon is. That's really nice about triathlon, that we have all that respect from each other, and because we know how hard we work. And if someone else pulls it together on that day, then I always have huge respect. And I think it's also good to how to say, like, to congratulate, to bow on them.
You tip your to somebody who has
exactly.
have a better day on that better race on that day. Well, you can't do anything.
Exactly. And she had to wait for a long time and for that win. So I think she really wanted it very hard, and she made me a better athlete too by doing that. I think from the day when Lucy came, she was very confident. She was like, I'm going to try to win this race, or she said, she didn't say I'm trying, she would say I'm going to win this race, and I'll do it. And from, I think it was 2017 where we faced each other the first time, where I was like, okay, well, I better watch her out, and she always gave everything. So it's great to have this rivalry, but still on a healthy level.
The other thing when I look back at your career is there's, when some days just go right, everything goes well, but you've been able to handle when things don't go well. 2018, we're talking the jellyfish, we're talking having, you're used to being up there on the bike, now you're behind and you're chasing. That's a different way. But was there a part of that while you're on the bike thinking, this is different, I'm racing differently, but I can still have a great race?
It took me a while to realize that I could still have a good race. But it was definitely it was the craziest race I've ever had. And I think it was to that point where I decided I'm not going to give up. Even I thought I'm going to drown in the water. And,
that wouldn't be good having the champion drown.
No, I looked around to see if there was a paddleboard or someone, because I really was a bit scared, and I saw one. I was like, okay, I'm safe, and just in case I'm drowning, someone will pull me out. So I felt safe, and I just kept going. And I still remember like coming out of the water I thought I was way more back, and it was only 10 minutes, which is a lot, but to me it felt like, it's actually not that bad. And it's interesting that in that moment, I mean, in the swim, when I said I'm just going to finish no matter what, even if it's 16 hours, I just dropped all the expectations, and I started then on the bike, and I saw, I'm only 10 minutes back, and then I started to catch up, and it was probably the most positive race then from there I ever had, because there were always these positive surprises, 10 minutes back, 7 minutes back, 5 minutes back, where normally I would totally think different. And it was really interesting to see what it did to my mind. It just put me on this flow where I felt like I had nothing to lose, so I can just give it all in. And the bike was, for me, the best feeling I've ever had, because I could just leave it out there, and I didn't care anymore, because I kind of thought the win was gone anyway. And it's interesting to see like how it can help you to actually go better if you drop your expectations. That was for me the case in that day. And when I then suddenly was in the front, it just gave me even more power to keep pushing. And it was, even though it was like the hardest moment was in the start, from there I had a lot of positive moments because I was realizing how bad the situation was in the beginning. So it was definitely a very special race.
Well, after you win in 15, then every year you go 16, 17, 18, 19, it's you need to win from the outside. You're expected to win, and anything else is unacceptable. That's a lot of pressure, where like you said, when you're almost drowned in the swim, and then you're 10 minutes back at the end of the swim. Now it's like, okay, I can just enjoy myself at this point. I mean, I'm going to go as hard as I can, but nobody's expecting me to win after getting stung by a jellyfish and being 10 minutes back. So that's a great position to be in, because the pressure just disappears.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it again, to have a race like this, but still, it was definitely interesting to see. And also the fact that when you decide not to give up, you have totally different thoughts. So until I decided, I was thinking, should I give up or not? And having had this, discussion in my head, and there I was going really slow. But from the time where I realized, okay, no, I'm not going to give up, I'm just going to finish that race, my thoughts were different. I was like, okay, how do I get to the finish? And I think it was really, for me, an interesting race to see how the mental aspect has such a huge impact. And it was that one moment that saved me, or that one moment that gave me the best race of I would say one of the best races of my life. And yeah, it was just that moment. I could have decided different, then it would have been probably one of the worst days of my life. So it's really extreme how just one moment can then split such in a different way.
So I remember chatting with Brett Sutton years ago, and he talked about the deal that he made with you before, because you were coming off of you had gone to the Olympics twice, and you thought of yourself as an Olympic distance person. He saw you as a diesel. He saw you as a long distance athlete. And you guys, according to Brett, you wanted to do the Ironman Switzerland Olympic, and he wanted you to do the full Ironman. And so the compromise was you would do both. That's a funny compromise, but that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I've told that story a few times. I don't know if people even want to hear that anymore, but yeah, it was definitely the start of a great yeah, it was the start of a new career. I definitely never saw myself as a long distance athlete. I was having that Olympic distance career, and I was doing okay. I was not Olympic champion, but I won one World Championship race. And yeah, and then he just put me in that cold water where I never really wanted to jump in. And then I think it's really amazing to see how sometimes you need to have people in your life pushing you a bit over your border, or how do you say, over your out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
And try something you don't think you can actually be good at. And for me, I did that race or that weekend, and I even racing in Zurich at the Ironman, I realized like it didn't feel hard to me. I could do that race, and I never rode 180K, but just felt natural. And realizing that was definitely I would say maybe the biggest key moment of my career, that I can actually do these long races and my body is better suited for them.
I think all of us have had somebody who believed in us before we believed in ourselves. And that person is really important. And I'm guessing because of the charity work you're doing, that's something that you're going to be involved with as well, is looking at some of the young men and women that you're working with in Africa, and helping them find a path to something that they might not have known even existed.
Yeah, I mean, the situations in Africa are very different to what I had in my life, but in there, it's really about helping them to survive. And I think it also gives you a perspective to see that sport is actually a luxury. Yes. And of course, that will be the big goal, to bring them into running, maybe cycling, but I guess running is a bit easier to access because you don't need a bike. And having them also purchasing goals would be, of course, amazing. But the first step now is, to really help them, get food and education, because that's what matters. Something we can't imagine here in Europe or in US. I guess that it's there's so many kids in the slums who just have no food, and they live on 50 cents, possibly. One meal is 50 cents for them. So with only little money we can achieve, or we can help them so much, which for us, like 50 cents, you would not think you can have a meal with that.
So were you watching the Olympics with Julie Duron and how she did?
Yeah, of course. Yes. It was super. I had such goosebumps, and I was a bit annoyed about the Swiss commentary. They were almost falling asleep, saying, "Oh, yeah, she's a bit brave. I'm not sure if that's smart to go so hard." And I was really celebrating her. Like, it was super impressive how she just went out there.
Impressive.
She did the race. Like she paced the race. She went out there in the run.
She pushed it. She dominated. She was the one.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I mean, I swam actually one of the last swims we had together the week before she went to Paris. And it was kind of cool to see that my level was not that bad. On the week where I actually announced my retirement, or decided my retirement. So I was still training with them, and it felt like a bit weird. Like I still felt good in the swim, but announcing the retirement, it was like, was a weird feeling that you can you still train with the best. But I was super happy for her. She's been putting hard work in for a long time, and she's definitely very dedicated, very consistent training or like, how do you say, she's able to train very consistent, which definitely made her deserve that silver medal.
Chatting with Brett was saying that her best distance is like you. He says he feels that she's an iron person. That's where she needs to go, and she's done she hasn't done a full. She has, but the way that she raced, that she was pushing that run the entire time, right? And I was looking at her form, going, she doesn't have the best form in the field, but man, she is gutsy. She went to the front. She's not afraid of the lights, and she told me that there was 4 women left. She goes, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to get 4th place at the Olympic Games. I'm going to get 4th." She's like, "Wait, why should I be settling for 4th? Why am I not think of something bigger?" And then she raced absolutely perfectly to get the silver medal that day. And I didn't realize that she has 2 sisters, Nina and Michelle, who are also top triathletes.
Yeah, I mean, I've been training with them for a long time, and it's great to see also how they stick together as sisters. They come up to St. Moritz, have their apartment sometimes together, and one of them actually works in St. Moritz as a lawyer, and it's nice to have that surrounding as well. Like they're very close, and they definitely have their backs, which probably helps as well. If you have like come up having that success, you still have your sisters keeping you grounded, but still also supporting. And I think she's in a good place, definitely to go further. And I'm excited to see what she can do on the longer distance. She's definitely a great athlete, and also how she improved her swim, her bike is very impressive.
So Nina, I think, is racing Nice at Ironman World Championship Nice. So we'll have her out there. Actually, I was hoping that Ironman would say, "Oh, silver medal, you can come do Nice as well." Because I think Brett was thinking that, hey, she could win that race.
Well, I mean, you have to still do it. It's easy to think, but if she works a bit more on her aerodynamics, getting some good partners there, I think then she definitely has the potential in her body, and now it's about finding the right material to really go. I think in long distance, it's not just the athlete, it's also the partners, and if you have good partners, that really makes a big difference. If you then have that advantage of the material in terms of aerodynamics and everything else, so I think she's on a good path.
She's on a good path. So when you look back at your career, and again, you had 2 careers. Your career as an Olympic distance athlete, you were successful there, and then this new career where you became the best ever. How do you sum it up? How do you look back at this career of yours over this last decade plus, and walking away from the sport that you've dominated? How do you look at it?
Oh, it's a big question. I mean, I can only say like how I feel. Like I'm just definitely feel very grateful and fortunate that I was able to do that. I never in my life expected it or even thought that was possible. I definitely see it like I had a bit the 2 careers, the short term and then the long term, and what happened in the last 10 years is definitely, I would definitely say it changed my life. I'm glad I still have some aspects in my life. They're exactly the same, like my friends from school. It's so also now like having that root in your life, like having people around you where they never really cared about my races so much. And that I always liked that, like also my family, they loved watching, but for me, it was always very important that we had other topics to talk about than my job or the sport, and that really helps me now. Like that, there's other things in life, and still, I think it was for me like to be able to go for that one thing. And triathlon was the one that I was good at, and being able to do something where you're good at, it's of course very satisfying. And of course you need to put in a lot of work. I'm not missing the work. It's definitely I have to say that life is much easier and more relaxed now. But of course, you have these amazing moments where, yeah, they're just full of emotions, and I think they're hard to get in other parts of your life. But still, it's it's been a wild journey, and I'm definitely feel very grateful for what I could experience and also achieve.
It has been a treat to cover your career, and hopefully we'll be chatting a bunch more about the next moves in Daniela Ryf's career as you move more towards a philanthropic part of life. One of my favorite moments was just sitting with you at Huggos on the Rocks back in 2014. It was the first interview we did, and you basically looked out at Elite Drive and said, "Is this where they run? Is this where the run is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is where the run is." And then you go on to become the very best female triathlete in history. It's been seriously such a treat and honor to get to know you over these years and just see what a great role model you are for our sport. Thank you for everything you've done to make triathlon great.
Thank you so much.
Daniela Ryf has been our guest again at Breakfast with Bob. This is our Nice World Championship edition. Daniela Ryf, the greatest female triathlete in history, has been our guest. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.